Well, it's cracking people. Angelic Mayhem here. So today I'm playing a little bit of Firefall, and I wanted to do a real quick video. There's a tornado out there. Oh, look at that. I wanted to do a video talking about how to build your own gun. All right. So here is, we got beach, weird tower thing, PvP, and then over here this is the computer. Let's go over there. I'm going to avoid all these people and head back here. Molecular printer. J. Now, I've already pulled it up. Anytime that you want to build any piece of equipment, you're going to be inside of the build menu. And in this case, I'm going to be building a signature rifle to improve the stock one that they gave me when I started the game. This is the recon area, which will apply to my recon battle frame only. All right. And I'm playing as a recon, so that's why we're doing it this way. So recon, a cord recon, as opposed to later on you might actually have, like upgraded to other kinds of, like there's multiple recons, like one of them is Night Stalker and things like that. But in this case, I'm still a basic cord recon, so it's under that. And then you can, do your various, throwable devices and things like that. And then also there's the R36 assault rifle. I went over here to the research area first in order to actually unlock the R36-2, and now that I have done that, it is available. When I click on it, here are the various components that will go into my gun, okay? And when you go into these, let's say that you did not already have an R36 magazine. It will give you the option to create it, all right? When you create it, you can then go over here and it will say, all right, well, what materials do you want to use? This is why you refine all of the materials that you find when you're out in the world and you're doing your thumping. You will come back here and refine them, and then after they're refined, you can actually build components, each of these little things. In this case, if I wanted to build another one of these, what I would be wanting to do is to use the best material possible. All right. Now, what does that mean? Well, each of these has its own pluses and minuses, okay? But, and you can get into the really deep aspects of that if you want to. You could actually pull up, the anabolics and say, is anabolics better than polymers, as an example, in making, what am I making here? In making magazine, for your gun, which would be better. So you can actually get into that, but the easiest way to do it, if you just want a very basic and just, do it as fast as possible, you can actually just look at this number right here, which is the quality of your item, of your resource. So here in this case, if I wanted something that was really good, I would start up here in the 700 series, okay, which is some of the best stuff that I've found out there in the world. I would actually use, like 762 or 777, which would give me a really great quality product. If I didn't care about that, if I just wanted, whatever, or I wanted to make it cheap because I happen to have, like, let's say, I have 1,369 of a 400 petrochemical, I'm okay with that, especially if I wanted to sell it. Maybe I want to keep the really good stuff for myself, but then sell, some of the crap stuff on the market because, if you put 469 resource out on the market, just as petrochemical resource, you're not going to get any money for it. All right, nobody would buy that. But if you turn it into a magazine, an R36 magazine 2 will actually sell pretty good out on the market. Doesn't matter what it's made out of. People will buy that. So if you get into weapons manufacturing, this may be something that you would be interested in, using some of these lower chemicals. But for my weapon, I always use the best stuff. All right. So if you were, all right, so let's just pick something at random, and then you would do the same thing over here. You would look for, let's say, well, I don't have enough 639, 675 iron, an iron magazine, that wouldn't be so bad. Carbon would probably be a little bit lighter, although that's only 535. So these are just things that, you would keep in the back of your mind. The 607 copper, that might be neat. Let's switch it to iron. So it gives you, like your quality information up here, just like, for all the other stuff that you do in here. It gives you, like, your little feed out. So, I'm not actually going to manufacture... Ooh. I am going to manufacture this. It takes about 10 seconds. And then you're going to create an R36 magazine 2. I'll just sell this one later, because I already have one. Alright, claim items. Perfect. So we go back in the R36 R2, and then if I wanted to, I could go to the magazine and switch over to the other one that I just made. Now I don't want to do that. I'm going to stick here with this one. Now 408, that's not amazing quality, okay, but for these particular purposes, all I want to do is get upgraded to the R36 II, so I'm willing to use it. Because the R36 one that I have now, it's nice in firefights, but it's not anything amazing, and I really need to be able to do a little bit more damage with each of the bullets that I do. So we have all three of these, okay, which are the primary and essential components to actually create a gun. But there's these optional components too, okay? Now, always keep in mind that it costs money to manufacture anything, so I am going to have to put out at least 1,200 in crystallite in order to make this weapon. If you are going to sell weapons, you're going to need to add up all of these multiple components, okay, in order to figure out how much it actually cost you to build the weapon, and then price it accordingly. Usually you would add maybe 20% or even 40% depending upon how rare the weapon is. But for our purposes, we're making it for ourselves, so we don't have to get into all that. But what I'm going to show you is that down here it says structural reinforcement. Okay, this is an optional component that would make your gun a little bit better in a firefight at taking damage. All right, and this is a good thing. So I actually want one of these. I want it to be as part of my weapon. And then here you also have optional subcomponents. You can add stabilization subroutines and things like that, which make the gun easier to fire, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these things can be added as optionals. Now I'm going to show you where to find one of these things. So let's get out of this for a second. And right over here, there's a crafting vendor, all right? This is Olivia. So we're going to talk to Olivia. And she sells struck reinforcement. Now, I would like to get this, but sadly, I'm in between credit builds at the moment, so I don't have the credits that I would need for that. But for our purposes, structural reinforcement 1, we'll do that. 500, yes, I do want to do that. Every town has a crafting vendor, and I'm sorry, every town that has a crafting computer has a crafting vendor. So and they're usually like right nearby. So I have purchased that, and we know that for a fact. So and back. Now when we go into Assault Rifle 2, when I go into optional, whoops, wrong one. When I go into optional components, structural reinforcement 1 is there, and boom, it is now part of my weapon. Which is always good to have. I know that it's optional, but your gun will become damaged very quickly, and especially if you're selling weapons, your weapons will have like a reputation for being crap if you don't have any sort of structural reinforcement. Now structural reinforcement 1 isn't amazing, but it's good to have, okay? I don't know what happened here. Oh, okay. So there we are. We now have a fully operational weapon. This Olivia does not sell any subroutines, and I haven't found any out in the world. Actually, I did, but I sold them all off. So, but you can pick stuff up as you go along, and hopefully, you can build a really amazing weapon. Like if you find stabilization routine 5 and you stuff it into an assault rifle 2, that's going to be pretty amazing. So here we go. Manufacture, and it takes 55 minutes. I'm not going to come back at the end. We'll just assume that it actually happens. I lose all my credits, and now I'm down to practically nothing. Basically, I put a bunch of stuff. I bought a bunch of stuff off of the marketplace, and like I bought a bunch of crafting materials and things like that. Some really good stuff that I'm using to make things that I'm then going to put back on the marketplace as manufactured goods. But anyway, that's how you build a weapon. In 54 minutes, I will then have a weapon that I can then go to the battle frame garage and swap over. In this case, the R36-2 is a signature weapon. So when I go into the battle frame, I could have swore this was like right here. Oh, it's over here. When you go into the battle frame garage, here's the R36-1, which I currently have. There will be a new weapon here, and it will be the R36-2. And so you'll just be able to equip it. So that's that. Maintenance. Oh. Done. So there you go. I hope that helps you with your crafting stuffs here in Firefall. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this video, please click on the like button. Nah, it's gone. That sucks. I was going to go over there. Please click on the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want more Firefall content in the future. I'm Angelic Mayhem, and I will see you next time.